So there are a handful of everyday words that native speakers use constantly, but English learners rarely use. And it's not because they're difficult words. Today I'm going to show you these simple but powerful words that will help you sound more fluent and more natural in your English conversations. When you speak English, you want to be clear. The words I'm going to cover in this video will help you talk in more detail and talk more precisely about things. When you start using them, it will help you to sound more like a native speaker. Make sure you listen to the end because I'll give you some tips about how you can practice using these words. The first word is slightly, and it just means a little bit. It's slightly colder today, or this coffee is slightly too strong for me. This word helps you talk about small changes or small differences. The next common word is barely, and barely means almost not or only just. She barely passed the exam. That means that she almost didn't pass. I could barely hear what he was saying. That means I could only just hear what he was saying. So barely allows you to talk in detail about something that almost didn't happen. So the next one is fairly. This is a little bit more complicated. It means to some extent or not completely. The test was fairly easy. That means the test was easy to some extent. Maybe there were some parts of the test that were actually quite hard. I'm fairly sure we'll win the game. So that means I'm not completely sure that we will, but I have some confidence. So fairly is a helpful word for showing balance when you're speaking. The next word we have is particularly. So this means especially or more than usual. I'm particularly interested in this topic. It means I'm especially interested in this topic. She was particularly tired after the flight. So this means that she was more tired than usual after her flight. The next two are quite similar, so let's look at these carefully. The first one is hardly. Hardly means almost not. Okay, so I hardly know him. It means maybe we've met once or twice, but I don't really know much about him. I hardly slept last night. So this means I almost didn't sleep at all, or I almost got no sleep. The next one is hardly ever. So this means almost never or rarely. She hardly ever speaks in class. So this means that she almost never or rarely speaks in class. We hardly ever go to the cinema. So this means we rarely go to the cinema. We almost never go to the cinema. Next, we have gradually, which means slowly over time. The noise gradually disappeared. He's gradually improving his English skills. This is a great word for talking about slow changes or progress. The last one is eventually. So eventually means in the end or after a period of time. We'll get there eventually. Okay, so we'll get there in the end. She eventually found her keys after searching for hours. So after a period of time, after a long period of time, she found her keys. So eventually is interesting because you can talk about future things or you can talk about things that happened in the past. So here are a few tips to help you practice using these in daily English conversations. So think about real life situations where you can use these words. So practice making your own sentences that have meaning for you using these words. This smartphone is slightly more expensive than that one. I barely had time for breakfast this morning. So using the words with your own sentences is going to help them stick in your brain more easily. The second tip is to try to replace simple words in your language with these more advanced words. So instead of saying a little, you can try to use slightly. Instead of saying almost never, try using hardly ever. These changes are going to help you make your English sound much more advanced. The The third tip is to listen to how native speakers use these words. So this could be from movies, TV shows, podcasts, or even conversations that you're having with people. Take those sentences and practice using them until it feels natural. And then you can actually start using them in your English. So by using words like slightly, barely, fairly, eventually, this is going to make your English sound much more natural and fluent. Try these in your next conversation and let me know in the comments how it goes. Make sure to share your own examples about how you use these words. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss my next lesson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.